everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taco About a Tuesday, the show where we eat healthy, delicious tacos and have conversations about life. Start wherever you are and start small. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They only determine where you start. I hope you're listening to this message right now and you find hope in what's possible and the potential that's waiting in front of you, that nothing needs to be perfect in order for you to take your first step. With a new year around the corner, I want to do a podcast dedicated to some of the top lessons that I learned this year through experiences that stick with me to this day. So today's podcast is going to be special, where I'm going to share with you just some stories of very transformational things that happened this year and the lessons that came from those things. So before we jump into that part of the podcast, though, let's go ahead and talk about the taco of the week, which is the final taco of Taco About It Tuesday. If you were not here during the episode last week, I did make the announcement that the podcast is going nowhere as far as me and being behind a microphone. However, we are going to do a rebrand, and this podcast is now going to be called Becoming Your Strong, which is so much more in line of the message that I bring to the microphone for you all as audience members every single day. So it's a very exciting rebrand, and with that, we are going to be letting go of the taco theme, and it's been so fun to do so over the last couple of years. But all that to say, this is our last taco. And what I wanted to bring to you guys for the final one is something for you to bring into your busy lifestyles. We all have things going on. We all are crammed with crazy schedules. And so why not make it easy on ourselves while also, again, creating that healthy, delicious space for ourselves. And so with that being said, this week's recipe is mini taco bowls. Essentially, if you are able to meal prep ahead of time, some meat and the vegetables that you want cut up into these, which I obviously shared this all within the recipe, you literally can get home. You can put something in a little muffin tin. You can make your tacos by preparing them right there, putting them in the oven for 10 minutes, then having a super fresh, wonderful, healthy, delicious meal within 10 minutes, right? So if you are interested in seeing the mini taco bowls that I specifically created with my sort of flavor palette, ingredients that I personally love and enjoy, be sure to go check out the show notes before you leave the episode today. Alrighty, you guys, let's go ahead and jump on in. So this episode is dedicated to making the most of 2025. And the way that I wanted to go about doing this is to, again, share some of the top experiences in no particular order as far as where they happened chronologically, but just things that really stuck out to me when I was reflecting back on my 2025 and just the lessons that came from those. So starting off with experience/lesson number one is shoot for the moon and land on the stars. That's lesson number one, is shoot for the moon and land on the stars. So to give you some backstory of what this even means and how this even came about, I was having a conversation with one of the girls that I coach and one of my dear friends, Olivia. She's the gal that I raced in the DECA Strong female elite teams with, and we took the podium with our race. And it's just been so freaking fun getting to coach her, become friends with her, and just really build this fantastic relationship over the year together. But she was sending me over her goals for the upcoming year. And one thing that she mentioned is she wanted to qualify again for world championships in her age group. And so I sent her a little text, and even further backstory here. Olivia won the world champion title in her age group this year. So this was her very first year. She did the dang thing and qualified for world championships and then went and won the whole thing. So pretty incredible. She's got such a bright future and I'm very excited for her. But I read through the goals and I was like, love this for you. But I do have, one edit, and that's, my goal for you as a coach is that you're racing next to me in the elite field next year. And she was like, I'm scared to make it a goal because I'm worried that I can't do it. And I totally understand that. I get that feeling of why set the goal to only have disappointment, but there have been lots of different mindset shifts that have given me such a better perspective on goals and how to utilize them in her life or in our lives. And so this is what I told her is I said, I was worried that I couldn't do it either last year. It's part of the process. But if you settle for age group, then you'll stay there. If you shoot for elite and miss, you'll be a world champion age grouper again. If you shoot for it and you get into elite, you'll have the best race of your life. Like seriously, the race of your life like I got to have this last year. There's zero risk in going for it. And what I followed this with was goals are also just guides. They aren't the end all be all. When you look at them as a compass to get to the places that bring you joy versus life and death, it makes setting big ass hairy goals not nearly as daunting. And that really clicked for her. She was like, whoa, I never looked at it in that way. Here's what I want to say about this whole lesson as far as shoot for the moon and land on the stars is this whole idea is if you shoot for the moon and you quite literally land on the stars, you are so much further than if you settled, right? Life is not about settling. It's about creating those moments that you genuinely want to experience. And in my experience with goals is I've set a goal and then where I've ended up by the end of the year might have been completely different. But had I not set the goal and learned the lessons and gone through the different steps to get there, I would have never had the chance to pivot and to really find what it is that I love, the place that I really want to spend my time, energy, and effort. So think of goals truly, you guys, as your compass. They are not something that needs to be set in stone that if you don't meet the goal, you failed. Or if you halfway through the year, like this isn't aligning with me and what's important to me, you can always readjust. That does not make you a failure, but you need to have something in place that's going to be your compass. And better yet, you guys, if your goals, if you're looking at them right now and you're thinking about what it is that you genuinely want to accomplish in going into this next year, if you are not scared shitless looking at these goals, then you are not setting the right goals. Your goals have to get you to move. They have to make you tingle in your stomach. Like you have to be a little afraid of them, right? Being afraid of them and feeling those feelings tell me two things. One, that you're exactly where it is that you're supposed to be. Fear is quite literally your green light, you guys. If you are experiencing fear, then you are exactly where it is that you're supposed to be because you know that that's the thing that you need to work on in order to become the person that you want to be. Quite literally. So if you are not setting goals that give you that fear, that good fear, then again, you're not doing that in the right space. And quite honestly, I forgot what number 2 was as far as what it told me, but that alone, you guys should really hit home the point is that this is not make or break, but at the same time, you have to do the things that scare you. If you go at it with this perspective of this is my compass and I'm going to go and get in my uncomfortable space, where it's going to bring you and the things that it's going to bring to your life, the people that it's going to bring to your life, the learning lessons, just the journey that it's going to take you on, I promise you, it's going to change you. It is going to change you in the best of ways. So hopefully that all makes sense, but that's the first lesson and the experience that came that really drove that home for me is shoot for the moon and land on the stars. And know that regardless of where you land, again, whether it's the moon or the stars, that you're so much further than if you had just settled for something mediocre. The next experience and lesson is speak into existence. So the lesson that you need to hear is to speak into existence what it is that you genuinely want to become and accomplish. There's been plenty of mindset and goal setting experts that have talked about this, but I want to share this from my experience and perspective is at the beginning of this year, I had just gotten done going to my very first DECA World Championships and I was super motivated around next year. It's a done deal. I'm making it into the elite wave. But in addition to that, I really wanted to be a trainer. Like I've been a trainer, obviously in person, but I really wanted to serve people online and in person as well too, if I had the capabilities to. I really wanted to serve them in this way of making DECA the main modality in the way that they were succeeding in fitness and in life. And I just so badly wanted to coach DECA and make people really good. And so I put that out there that I am going to be a DECA trainer, that I am going to be in the elite field. Did I fully believe it in that moment? No, I didn't. But that's not necessarily the point. At some point, yes, you do need to tell yourself the things that you're going to believe because it's going to get you to move. But you have to start speaking into existence, not just to yourself, but to other people out there in the world of what it is that you're going to do. First off, it's going to hold you accountable. If you are telling other people other than yourself what your big goals are, you're going to start to create buy-in and accountability from other people. And that's huge. And that's exactly what I got from my teammates on the Underdog Fitness Podium Chasers teams. That's what I got from my coach. That's what I got from my now boyfriend, Dave, right? Is not just like the did you do your workout, but thinking about, Kayla, like maybe you should take the rest day. Maybe you should do what's going to feel the best for your body right now. Like making sure that I was taking care of myself on all facets when all I wanted to do was just like grind as hard as I could, knowing that that probably wasn't going to actually serve me in the long run, right? So by putting things out there, people were looking out for me. They were creating buy-in in what it is that I wanted to do. In addition, when you start speaking in ways of saying like, I am going to be in the elite wave, I am going to fill in the blank, you start to show up as that person, right? You start to have a different sort of chip on your shoulder that is going to make you accountable to what it is that's most important. Okay, so those two reasons alone are reasons why you need to start speaking those things into existence. I did that not just at the beginning of the year, but I held strong through that the entirety of the year. And here's the thing that I actually really want to drive home. Even if I did not make the elite waves this year, even if I did not become a super successful DECA trainer, which now I am, I'm working with Underdog Fitness and I've got several clients underneath my belt that are all getting podiums, claiming titles, like doing some super kick-ass things. Even if all of that did not come to fruition, I still would drive this home time and time again because the person that I became and the way that I started to talk to myself and view myself completely shifted for the better. When you speak it, you feel it. When you feel it, you believe it. When you believe it, you become it. It's that simple. So start to speak into existence more. Watch who you become in the process and know that the outcomes, the right outcomes that are meant for you, will follow regardless. Next lesson and experience that's going to help you make the most of 2025 is the work starts from within. That is the lesson, is that the work will always start from within. I cannot tell you this enough. And this has been like a lesson that's been weaved into the last 4 to 5 years of my life. I never could have become the athlete, the podcaster, the girlfriend, the daughter, you name it, the trainer, any capacity or role that I fulfill in my life. I could have not become the person that I am today had it not been for the work that I did within first to start. I feel like most people set a lot of external goals and start trying to fix a lot of things on the outside, when quite literally none of that is going to come together or work unless you fix what's on the inside first. And by fixing, I don't mean that all of a sudden your wounds fly away, that your insecurities, your baggage just goes poof. It doesn't happen that way. But you learn how to work with it, and you learn, better yet, you guys, to accept it and love it in a way where it starts to become your superpower, where it starts to become your freaking story and your purpose in life. When I lost the weight, at first, I thought that it was just going to be a mission to be in better health, to not feel as depressed and lethargic, to maybe one day attract a boyfriend to my life that would actually care about me, right? Like it was all these things that kind of didn't matter, but in the moment they felt like they mattered. What came from that journey was just refiguring out who I am again and what it is that I love. What are the things that I don't love? What's important to me? What do I actually want to create, experience, and moments wise in my life? That journey was forever life-changing for me. And it continued, especially over the last year, where, for example, I was really struggling with certain things around self-acceptance, when it came to the dating and relationship space. I had some odd attachment styles because of just ways that I've been treated and things that happened in my childhood when I was in school. And so for me, it's been a really tough journey. And I talked about this a lot this year as far as like my dating and what it's been like to go through the dating lifestyle. It's not fun. It's not pretty, but it can be, again, really transformative if you allow it for it to be. But because I decided to sign up for a therapy program, learn how to securely attach to myself again, and just be totally, genuinely, authentically myself, and like just love that and not change that and just stand up for myself, even if it wasn't the popular opinion, that allowed for me to attract Dave into my life. I started off with a wonderful man earlier this year, and unfortunately, just we weren't the right match. It wasn't the right time. It just wasn't the right space for either of us. But what came after that, by being able to let go of that and realize that I deserved better and that he deserved better and things of that sort, I was able to allow for something pretty damn amazing to come into my life. Someone that I truly and deeply care about, that makes my life better in so many ways, right? He is truly like a life partner to me. That all would have never have happened had I not, A, started my journey 4 to 5 years ago, and B, continued that journey through continually improving myself. And so what I really want you guys to take home from this specific lesson is that if you have specific goals that you're trying to accomplish, don't start taking your first steps when it comes to external things to handle if you have yet to figure out what's going on internally, and to be super locked in with that. Because I promise you, if you do not do that, you will feel the resistance. And it's not the good kind of resistance. It's the resistance that's like, hey, you cannot unlock this next chapter of your life until you handle what's going on inside. Like, you have to learn the lesson first. And I've had to go head up with those moments a lot. But I'm telling you, if you listen to them and you go internal first and you really, really ask yourself those hard questions and those good questions that are going to give you really solid answers, that's going to change the game for you. For sure. Okay, so the work starts from within, so don't neglect that part of the process when you're going after these big goals in 2025. Last two for you guys. Your setbacks will become your biggest comebacks. This is just a duh type of one. Your setbacks will become your biggest comebacks. One of my favorite stories of this from this past year was when I decided to ruck up for the very first time. It was like, everyone was like, Kayla, you got to put on the backpack. And I was like, no, this race is hard enough. Why would I want to put on a ruck with 20 pounds in it? No, thank you. Well, then you go on a backpacking trip with your boyfriend and you're like, I actually feel very empowered with a bunch of weight on my back and hiking up this mountain. I think I want a ruck now. And then you go and try it and you realize that you could be a world record setter and all the things. It gets pretty cool. But when I went out to Connecticut to do my qualifying run for World Championships and to go after the world record for the Deca Strong Ruck, they forgot to weigh my ruck before I went. And Kevin and Dave noticed about halfway through, based off of how the bag was just sitting on my back and sort of waving around and moving around, that it probably wasn't the right weight and that it wasn't heavy enough. And instead of stopping me, which I would have personally, not been upset with, they let me go all the way through it. And I set a stellar time of 14:09, which then did not count because, as they came to find, the ruck was not the right weight. I'm not bitter about it whatsoever. Sometimes I'm like, if you only would have waited, I would have had the world record still. But that doesn't matter, right? What happened in that moment, hearing the news of, hey, you did a great job, but this isn't going to count. You're going to have to do it again. It was like shattering to me because I had put so much into training for this moment and to giving my all in that specific run. And then to be like, okay, you have to do it again with the whole chance that you might not be able to replicate what you just did, was like, seriously? Like, why me? Why now? So I took my moments in like doing the whole woe is me, but what ended up happening is I thought about, okay, if I really go through with this of competing at world championships, how many races am I probably going to do on that Sunday? A ruck, an elite, and 2 teams is what I'm already planning for. So I'm going to have to do 4 races anyways. What is stopping me from doing an additional one right now? It's the only other race I have to do today. The rest of them all go throughout the weekend. So what's really stopping me right now? If I say no to this, I'm going to subconsciously put this into my mind that this setback is just going to come and haunt me over and over and over again, that I cannot race multiple times in one day, which, by the way, I have done. I have done. So why should this be any different? Make this an opportunity for you to be better mentally and physically. Who knows? What if you got a better time? What if you did it even better this time around? Have you thought about that? Right? So there's a lot of things that come from this, but the biggest thing is that setback in the moment, while it felt heavy and like it wasn't fair, and yes, I was upset and disappointed, I was like, I'm going to make this my comeback moment. I'm going to make this moment right here something that I pull upon when I need it the most, when I'm thinking, I don't know if I can do this again, and to be like, but I did. And the proof is in the pudding that shows that I can. And so therefore I will. And guess what? That vastly helped me. If you listen to how I became a world champ in the episode before that of my experience at Decker World Champs, I was so sick the morning of the Strong. Like so sick that I thought I was going to vomit. I was able to pull upon that experience of being like, I hurt, I don't feel great, I'm definitely not fresh, but I can do this. And I just thought about that and I held that close to my heart. And 15 minutes later, I crossed the line as the Decker Strong Ruck World Champion, right? It doesn't get much better than that. And so I need for you, as you start to approach these different goals in 2025 and you're making headway, please know that there's going to be setbacks. But those setbacks don't have to be the ending. They can be the story that's going to bring you to where it is that you want to be. The story that's going to elevate you as a human being into that person that you genuinely want to be. Setbacks can be your comebacks. So when you get faced with one, don't be upset. Get excited about there is a reason, there is a purpose, there is an opportunity. I want to go uncover what that is. And put that learner's mentality cap back on and go figure out what the lesson is that you need to learn. So your biggest setbacks will become your biggest comebacks. All right, last lesson and experience. One person believing in you could be the difference between wishing or getting what you want. Listen to that again. Having one person that believes in you could be the difference between wishing or getting what you want. I could have sat there this whole year wishing to be in the elite wave, or I could have taken the steps possible to get what it is that I wanted. And the steps that I needed to take in order to make it possible was I needed to not go at it alone. I needed to be in the circle in the presence of the people that were doing what it is that I wanted to do, that were emulating the success that I wanted, but more importantly, that were showing up as the people that I wanted to be, showing me that anything is possible. And that's why I hired my coach, Kevin. That's why I decided to be a part of his team, is because I knew that circle, his coaching, and most importantly, that the belief that he had in me to do big things, that was going to take me from mediocre to elite. And I don't want to get it twisted here. I don't want to just say that, like, if you got someone that believes in you, automatically it's just going to click. Because it's not. At the surface of it all, or underneath the surface of it all, you have to put in the work to make it happen, right? You can't just say, I believe in you, and then all of a sudden you get everything that you want. You have to put in the work to do it. But there is nothing like knowing that there is someone that has your back every single day, every single week, every single month, in those moments where you need it the most. When they tell you that they believe in your ability to overcome and be tenacious and to really just even outdo any of the expectations and goals that you have for yourself, that's powerful. That is powerful stuff. When he started to breathe belief into me, I started to believe it myself. All it takes, you guys, is one person believing in you that is going to change your entire circumstance from wishing that something would happen to actually living it. I got to live my dream this year. And for God's sakes, I am so excited for what 2025 is going to bring. Those are the 5 lessons that I hope that you take into 2025 to make the most of it. And the thing that I want to leave you with today is this thought. While this episode is all about the new year and getting really excited about new opportunities, new goals, all the things, it doesn't take a new year or the first of a year in order for you to create change. I was actually having a conversation with Dave the other day where he was like, I don't really believe in New Year. I don't really care for the excitement that's around it. Like, for me, it's just another day. And in a lot of ways, I totally agree with that. So I'm here to tell you that at any point in time, if you feel a lack of motivation, if you feel that fear, if you are just sitting there being like, I don't know what step to take next, please come back to this podcast and re-listen to it again and find that source, that inspirational message, whatever it is that you need to take another step forward again. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to not know, whether it's at the first of the year, in the middle of the year, or even the last few weeks before the end of the year, right? It does not take the start of a new year for you to create change. You can start that today. You can start that any day. But what I hope is that you take these messages that I'm leaving with you today, these lessons that are going to truly change your life, and you implement them at various times throughout the year, throughout any time that you need them. And I promise you, if you do, you will see the difference in the change that you want to create in this world. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. And thank you so much for following the Taco About It Tuesday journey. It has just been such a blessing, like I said, to have this therapy time behind the microphone and to teach all of you guys these lessons as I'm learning them myself as I experience my life and go through different seasons of life. What I am really excited about, though, is this next chapter, and I want you to stay tuned and stay right here because, again, I'm not going anywhere. We're just going to start to change the pace of things a little bit and allow for you to become your own version of strong, because I truly believe that everyone has their own version, their own definition of strong, and we all get there in a very unique way. So this show is going to transform into that alone, where I'm going to take you down the paths, have the conversations, ask you the hard questions that are going to get you to find and uncover your version of strong. Thank you guys so much for the wonderful support, and I will see you guys next week for the very first episode of Becoming Your Strong. See you then.